And it looks like we're live. Okay, greetings and salvations. I'm Unthulf Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and you are listening to Eldritch Rants, the show that dares to ask the question, have you seen the yellow sign? Joining me today is the one and only Mr. Gurr, who is the only truly approved real estate agent for Concorsa. Any rate, top story this evening will be how previously this afternoon, a man shot an elephant in his pajamas. Find out how this cliched Marx Brother joke actually came to life and why elephants are resorting to pajama theft. However, in the meantime, we're going to start with some more topical issues. And because we didn't cover it last week, we're going to be the last ones to talk about North Korea's latest nuclear test. Let's sum it up here real good here. Basically, they figured out how to use an H-bomb. We're pretty sure the magnitude of the explosion was significantly more. 11.8 times to be exact. And approximately, I think it was like 8 or 9 minutes afterwards, there was a huge cavern collapse. That was a 4 on the Richter scale. And since then, we've had several reports of radiation being vented into the atmosphere because the underground nuke chamber they were using went bye-bye. This was test number 6, and to be honest, it bodes pretty ill for everybody. Before I get into it, any thoughts, Mr. Gurr?
Just the usual good old-fashioned North Korean workmanship seems to be lacking somewhat, so even getting the bombs right, they still can't even seem to figure out how to test them safely.
Well, I don't think they were expecting the sheer magnitude of the explosion. The same thing happened the first time America tested their H-bomb when they put it on Bikini Atoll. They actually had people in a bunker on the island when they set off the H-bomb. They had reports from the people who were in the bunker when it went off on the far end of the island, wiped out most of the island. The people inside the bunker basically went, holy effing, what the? Because it was like 100 times more damaging than they expected it to be. And they sent in an emergency team to rescue those guys. They actually got out. Miracle of miracles. But being a mere 10 miles from a H-bomb is not far enough. You know, you need to be at least over the horizon, if that. So, but yeah, here. Fact of the matter is, it looks like it was either 1, an H-bomb, 2, for some reason, they decided to string together like 20 or 30 regular bombs just to say that they had an H-bomb. Or 3, this is a really good hoax. I'm thinking it's probably number 1. You?
Yeah.
The big problem with all of this is that, frankly, at this point, I'm not very big on war, but I don't think we can wait the 20, 30 years for this place to collapse anymore.
No, it's just what will the cost be? Because my first thoughts is that I would support a war against North Korea. However, it's the surrounding countries that will pay the price. And that's what makes me think,
Well, right now we do have an agreement with South Korea. Donald Trump signed it saying he will not go to war without them clearing it first.
Right. Well, that's a good thing to.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we should honor it personally, but we've got it. My personal opinion on the whole matter is we should make all sorts of threats. We should bring so many troops and ships over and park them right offshore and say we will shoot anything that leaves into international waters. But secretly behind behind everybody's back, go to China and say, okay, China, we will create an incident. You rush to their defense. moving your troops in to protect North Korea from the aggressive Americans. And when we give you the signal, you shoot Kim in the back of the head and you take over the country. It's yours. Okay? We will blow up all the defenses. Not a single American will step on shore. We will destroy everything they have that can harm anybody else. The only thing we want from you is that you will get these nut jobs under control. I would go with that. That I think would be the safest bet. I don't know if it's possible or will ever happen, but...
Yeah, it's one of those, there's no good idea, but it's the best of the bad ideas. It's like Assad in Syria. He's a horrible dictator, but he kept Syria mostly safe.
Yeah, he's the exact opposite of this.
Yeah.
Like, he's a perfect example of when we should have backed the hell off.
Yeah.
However, you know, I'm with the Russians on that one, where Assad, yeah, he was a horrible dictator, he was a monster, but I hate to say this, their culture is full of monsters.
Yeah.
You have to be the biggest monster. That's, you know, by our standards, yeah, he's a monster. By their standards, you know what? Somebody mentioned this to me. I forget who it was, but he said, look, we've killed like millions of people in Iraq, and Saddam only killed a few thousand. Do you think the difference of the few million who are dead would be willing to live under a dictator if they were alive?
Yeah, good point.
Now, the problem is with North Korea, they aren't willing to just like say, okay, we've got the bomb. Don't mess with us. Leave us alone. Like, they keep testing their missiles. They keep threatening. They keep saying, we will defeat you, and you can't. The problem is that nobody knows Kim. Nobody. I mean, he's completely unpredictable. If you think you understand him, you don't. You do not understand him. Any other closing thoughts on this other than the only thing I can think of is a blitzkrieg?
Yeah, well, I'm presuming that there's already, like, international trade embargoes in place already, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't beat these people down any further. And we're already trading with North Korea because China comes in, gives them pennies on the dollar for all of that sweet, sweet rare earth metals, gives them some coal, and then, you know, takes the rare earth metals and sells them on the open market. So it's not like there needs to be a conspiracy to take over North Korea to get their stuff, because the fact of the matter is we've already got their stuff. In fact, if North Korea and South Korea reunified, it'd be more expensive to get those rare earth metals. So if you like your iPhone, you know, you don't want things to change. Which I'm wondering is why, maybe that's why things have been going the way they have been. You know, I'm wondering if there's been a lot of big business who said, no, just keep kicking it down the curb. Just keep it. Don't worry, it'll collapse eventually. It's a communist country. It can't survive forever. I mean, other than an internal revolution, which could end very poorly if anybody got a hold of a nuke.
Yeah.
Have you ever read how much propaganda they've done about Kim?
As in inside North Korea?
Oh, yeah. The guys did 11 holes in one on an N-18 corpse, on eight-hole course.
Yeah.
Like, he can fly with his mind. I have no doubt that if his followers are actually stupid enough to believe that crap, they believe he could probably survive a nuke.
Yeah. They always come first in the Olympics, and presumably they win the World Cup every 4 years as well.
Yeah, I mean, my God, it's... it would not surprise me if they say, you come onto our show, we will prove he is a god, and like set off a nuke on him. He goes, wait, what? You know, because he doesn't apparently have to crap. Did you know that? He literally does not shit. They tell their own people that. I mean, everybody shits except for Kim Un-jun, whoever is. I mean, my God, that's crazy. And you've got a guy like that with nuclear weapons. The longer you wait, the worse this gets. That's the situation. And what disturbs me most of all is it's been a week and nothing's happened. In fact, everybody's kind of forgotten about it. Everybody's concerned with Harvey. Everybody's concerned with Irma. Everybody's concerned with whoever the heck's the next hurricane coming next. But we'll get back to that later. Anything else you want to say about this?
No, not at the moment.
As long as we're on the Korea Peninsula, I just wanted to bring up briefly that basically they're noticing more and more kidult, which is a compound of kid and adult, culture among adult males. It doesn't, I know they say it's among all adults, but I think it's probably mostly men.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing is basically the Korean version of the herbivore male. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, can imagine it being sort of age bracket between, I don't know, 18 and 40 or 18 and 30, where, yeah, they'd rather just spend the time and the wages on like toys and robots and video games rather than going out and, risking everything with a woman.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if you know this, but South Korea pretty much single-handedly made StarCraft. That game could not have survived without South Korea. They have actual tournaments. And I always thought that was a little weird, like to have like you would have a sports tournament but around a video game. And I can kind of see it in a niche market, but incredibly powerful. Like, these guys are gods there.
Yeah.
And I'm only seeing that in the long run, that was just basically the first symptoms. And more, this is going to be going the same way as Japan right now, which is what they're like at 1.29 replacement. At least they're not allowing themselves to be overrun by immigrants, but it's not a good sign. I keep wondering if this is ever going to turn around.
I don't know, and it just always begs that question: when the population starts to drop, and it's really showing, are they going to start looking to places like Africa and Asia? Well, the Middle East, and think, yeah, maybe we do need immigrants.
Well, they're already snagging immigrants who are basically serfs. Like, you can't actually become a citizen in Japan. But they're bringing people from China and Korea over to work there. And they have work visas. But even if you married a Japanese person locally, unlike in America, you aren't a citizen, and neither will your children. Your children won't be. And that's the same thing in Germany. Like, basically, if you're an immigrant and you marry locally, you're going to be, second-class citizen for the rest of your life and for generations to come. That is only a recipe for bad news. In Germany, it's already going south, but at least Japan is not pushing it. They're only bringing in the bare minimum they need.
Yeah, not swathes of undocumented.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. It's just a bad sign. I kind of think of them as the canary in the coal mine. Like, we need to watch them and see when there's that final collapse period. Because, in another 20 years, they probably can't even keep their cities occupied. Like, they live really close together, but that sort of population drop cannot go unaffected. So.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do in the long run? Like, say, at the moment, it's a two-child policy in China, yeah?
Oh, no, they finally got rid of that. But
what are they going to do to reverse it afterwards? Like, say if people are only having, 0.8 children per couple, is they going to start forcing people to marry and have children?
Well, in China, they're giving out financial incentives to Chinese people, and there was something else that they were doing. They've basically started re-educating their males. Like, imagine testosterone-driven MGTOW started teaching kids. That's the courses they're putting boys through now in China. So this whole, fourth wave intersectional feminism hasn't reached mainland China. I can tell you that.
Well, that's good. But I wouldn't really push it towards MGTOW either. It's just a case of be a man, and it's okay to be a man.
Well, I'm not sure how extreme it is, but from what I read, it was sounding pretty extreme that they really wanted to drive the whole, you're a man. It is your responsibility to go out there and, chop down a forest and then have lots of kids. Because
grow a beard.
Oh yeah, because I think they've looked at Japan and I think they're terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this for the communist government of China. When they do make a decision, they actually can do something about it, as opposed to like America, which is kind of like steering the Titanic. Oh, look, there's an iceberg. Let's, turn rapidly to the right. It steers like a pregnant cow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I think in the long run, we're starting in the right direction, but starting to look nasty.
Like in America and Europe, someone sees the iceberg, and 1,000 other people are saying, no, don't. You've got to hit the iceberg. Are you ice phobic or something?
Yes, we have a definite amount of ice phobic. It's nature. It's nature out there. And we need to hug nature. Oh, by the way, I don't have the article up, but I've got to mention it because I heard about it just the other day. About gay asexuals. Have you heard about these?
Asexuals.
Yes, people who actually have sex with the earth, trying to find Earth's clitoris.
Oh, the ecosexuals.
Oh, yeah, ecosexuals. That's what they were called too, ecosexuals.
Yeah.
Licking trees and humping dirt.
Yeah. That is pure mental illness.
Yeah. Part of me goes, however, I think what you're looking at is the final bottom feeders. The people who have come late to the party, where when you're dealing with like this whole moral panic, you've got the people who understand it's a moral panic and they're trying to sell you stuff. So, as I said, bigotry plus your prejudice equals my power. So these people are trying to work people up and saying, if you're gay, asexual, or ecosexual, you're being oppressed. And they're just trying to cash in at the end here. But wow.
Yeah, how long is it going to be until it's brought up in the Senate or the House of Commons that bestiality is a way of life?
They're already trying, but I can't speak for your side of the pond, but over here, things are finally starting to snap, and I have a feeling that you're going to see in 2018, it's going to finally break the Democrats, but because the math just isn't there. Like the Democrats are defending like 30 odd seats and the Republicans are only defending like 8 or 9. And the demographics are just bad. And I think that's going to have a huge ripple effect because I think once the left completely snaps and just loses all hope, then things are finally going to get done. But speaking of getting things done, shall we move on to the end of weaponized Title IX?
Just one more thing.
Shoot.
I am kind of looking forward to in 2018. More people that are going to be wanting to be, running for office for the Democratic Party are more than likely going to be feminists and the usual LBGT, B and Q and all that crap.
Oh, they are definitely doubling
they're
down.
They're going to be so pushing it that no one's going to even vote for them. They're going to be all like Brianna Wu and her terrible run at the Senate.
Yeah, I don't think they realize that the moral panic has peaked at all. Like it's very I think it peaked about a couple of months ago, really, because you're starting to see the actual arrests of women making false accusations. Like they never did that. That was impossible. That one fat lesbian who accused 15 men of raping her. Actually put one guy in jail for 3 years. I mean, she needs to go to jail for, 3 years times 15 for every guy she was trying to put in jail. She needs to be in jail for 45 years. Holy crap. No slap on the wrist for her.
Yeah, there should be more tight, harder sentences for people who falsely accuse that obviously can be proved to be false accusations, rather than just simply the defendant being found not guilty.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, go on, moving on.
speaking of false accusation, Betsy DeVos has stated, I heard her actual speech, she said, "We have not canceled Title IX, but our goal is to cancel Title IX. This isn't an event, it's a process." Basically, she was saying, if you have any input, call me and tell me. She's asking for feedback. She doesn't want to just, flip the switch. She wants to find out what failed and what worked. I'm not a big fan of the education secretary, but I will tell you this, the fact that she's doing this, okay, you redeemed yourself a lot. You can screw up a lot after this. I hope they get rid of Common Core entirely, but this is a step in the right direction here.
Right, I'm not entirely familiar with that.
Title IX, basically it switched over rape accusations on universities from being prosecuted by courts to being prosecuted by basically drumhead trials on universities. You couldn't have a lawyer present, and you couldn't face your accuser because that would bring the accuser trauma. And the fact of the matter is that while this destroyed a number of people's lives who may or may not have been guilty, we'll never know, most of the people who were prosecuted under Title IX never actually saw a real day in court, never actually went to jail. The one time they actually were going to put somebody in court, because Title IX screwed things up so much, he got off. I mean, everybody was dead, bang, sure, this guy was an actual rapist, but because he was rich and had a lawyer and knew how to play the system, he managed to say, you know what, you can't be sure. You can't be sure. You can't legally put me in. You can't legally send me to court because you've only achieved 51% certainty, not 95%. And because, it was horrible. It was a couple of years ago. I wish I'd thought of it earlier and found it again, but that's what happens. People who know how to scam the system would use this to scam the system, and people who didn't know and were innocent and were, stupid and trusting, well, they got their lives destroyed.
Yeah, so hopefully it can be shut down or...
Yeah, I mean, what was one of the things that I remember hearing? It was 2 people engaged in sex, but a third person who witnessed it thought it was non-consensual, even though it was even though it was consensual between the 2 of them. And that third person filed a Title IX grievance.
Wow.
Yeah, which destroyed the man's life, even though the woman he was having sex with said, no, it was completely consensual. But too late.
How can that even be possible? That's just insane.
Well, because it's not actually any legal problem, it's only civil problems. This whole thing just is civil issues. And in civil issues, it's only 51%. It makes you guilty. The big thing that makes me scared is I'm never going to Canada. Because in Canada, they made it in one province where you only need to meet the civil requirements for proving somebody guilty of rape, which means the accusation itself counts as proof against you, so you're already guilty the moment you walk into court.
Wow.
You have to then prove yourself innocent under the law, not they have to prove you guilty. If you do nothing, somebody accuses you, I forget which province it is, you're guilty from day one. It's bizarre. I mean, that's how screwed up Canada is. I have a feeling you're going to see Canada always seems to lag about a decade behind everybody else for some reason. So, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have their awakening until like 2025.
By then, they're going to be like overrun and overruled by Sharia courts anyway.
Yeah, I think we're going to be putting up another wall. We're going to be putting this one up to the north and making Canada pay for it.
Yeah.
Part of me also on some level cynically wonders, you got to imagine the people who are doing this understand the consequences of their actions. What benefit do they get out of this? And if it's just getting more votes, you've got to understand that only lasts for a little while. And then eventually someone who is of the minority you're using to gain votes will get rid of you because, Whitey gets the bullet too. I can't wrap my head around it. It just is so crazy.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me into your country. but we're not happy with these rape laws, so we're going to vote for someone else.
Yeah, it's Canada's really screwed up. They are heading south, but we'll see how that turns out. At any rate, anything else on the Title IX?
No, I'm good for now.
Let's move on to This Puberty Handbook for Boys is basically Rape Culture 101. Yes, that's right. A boy that explains puberty, the basic things about, having sex, is apparently rape culture.
Of course it is.
It's crazy. It's
eye-gougingly bad.
Oh yeah, it's bad. Like, God, I don't even want to go over the particulars. The book refers to women having breasts. It makes girls look grown up and attractive. Isn't that horrible? Because the truth of the matter is that breasts do not make you look attractive. And they make you look old and like a hag. Your body should be smooth and featureless, without hair or bumps. You should be just a cylinder. Dear God, what the hell? God, how do you even sink this low?
I just can't get my head around it. That's the thing. Yeah, it's telling you about how not only boys' bodies change, but girls' bodies change, and for some reason that's a bad thing. I mean, we're not talking about the whole, getting queer with kids and stuff like that.
No, we're still. Well, I mean, I guess that's it. That's it. They want to attack anything traditional. It's the whole. What is it? What do I want to say? Postmodern outlook that everything's subjective, everything's evil. You have to destroy everything.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they can put things like Pop and Nolly on and queer kid stuff and talk about LGBT and, we might be bisexual. You might like boys. But to actually talk about biological happenings within your real life body, oh no, that's the patriarchy talking.
The quote from this article.
Teaching you how to rape.
The quote that really sums it up is, "It's amazing that one little sentence can explain rape culture so thoroughly." No, it doesn't. It doesn't explain anything. This is you and your own paranoid delusions, looking for boogeymans and monsters in every little goddamn thing that jumps out at you. You can't be happy about anything. You have to be miserable and make everybody else miserable too. And the sooner Mary Sue, finally collapses under its own financial weight, the better everybody's going to be.
Give it a few more years and they'll all be gone. We got rid of Gorka. Well, Hulk Hogan body slammed Gorka.
Oh yeah, I mean the problem is I fear my prediction's not going to come true. I'm really, really hoping that at least one major news outlet's going to file bankruptcy before the end of the year, but the financials have started to ease out. I think it's the Christmas season. We're going into the Christmas season and everything improves this time of year, so I don't know if it's going to happen. I was hoping.
Hopefully Salon will disappear soon, or at least, they're going to have to move at least.
Yeah, that's close. I was really hopeful with Salon going to be one of the first ones to go belly up, but they didn't quite do it. Somehow they managed to pull something out of their... You know what I think is actually happening? I think they're getting a lot of outside support from like really rich billionaires, which unfortunately is only going to compound the problem, because the minute your whole income is from one guy, that one guy owns you. And if that one guy believes that, saying that girls have breasts, it makes you a rapist, guess what? You are going to talk about breasts making boys rape girls. I don't know.
So while you're writing these articles and hit pieces about how bad men are, get sucking that dude's cock to keep your money coming in.
Yeah, it's complete hypocrisy. I mean, but what? There's got to be some sort of financial gain here, and I can't find it. I wish I could find out, because I'm always of the opinion, follow the money, and I cannot follow money. So, at any rate, moving on to a big colossal waste of money. Hear about the new Lord of the Flies film, yes?
It's going to be awesome.
You know, if they were doing it legitimately, I could actually get into it. But if they're going to do a word-for-word reproduction with just women instead of men, I actually hope they do it. I do. Because I believe the movie will have such cognitive dissonance. It'll be so disturbing to see all these girls acting like boys that people will go, my God, there has to be a difference between men and women. Just look at this. This is so wrong. Any thoughts?
Quite a few, actually. I did hear that they're wanting to make it as close to the book as possible, apart from the genders of the boys, to be women instead. So I'm not sure exactly how close they're going to want it to be, because I can't remember the books that well. I did watch the was it 1992 film remake recently. And
Oh yeah, I saw that.
The 10, they're aged between what, 8 and 15, 8 and 14.
Yep.
And most of the time they spend that time on-screen time in their underwear. I can't see them making a film like that with girls.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the tribal paint scenes, it's gonna. Well, actually, that's a good theory. I just popped into my head. What if these two men who are writing this are actually pedophiles?
That could be it.
And their goal is to have a bunch of scantily clad prepubescent girls running around on an island all hot and sweaty for like months on end while they film it. This could just be a giant pedophile ring attempt.
Yeah, that Heart Foundation, I can't remember what they're called now. Must be like licking their lips and
I mean,
waiting for it to come out.
that just occurred to me, but oddly enough, it makes a lot more sense than anything else I've seen. I don't know. How off do you think that is?
I honestly can't imagine them doing it. So they'll have to raise the age of the girls to legal age. So they'll be between 18 and 21, which will make it just, soft porn.
Yeah, and it'll be, well, I mean, there's a couple of ways this can go out. One, they stick with the actual script, which is just going to be wacky as hell. Two, they make the social justice warriors keep flipping out about how evil they're portraying girls. And so they change it and they change it and they change it. And then eventually the two people who are running it get kicked off entirely. And some like lesbian dykes show up and redo it entirely. And what you see is a bunch of girls wind up in an island. And then through the power of vagina, they tame nature, turn the place into some sort of paradise. And then when the men show up to rescue them, they hide from the men because they have psychic powers or some shit. And then they all live happily on the island forever without men, because as soon as you remove men, all women are awesome.
Absolutely. And I can't remember, you know how there's just one adult with them at the beginning? I can't remember if he's in the book, but I remember it in the movie. How they're looking after the one guy who's delirious and badly injured. And he ends up getting accidentally killed in a cave. That, if they put that in the movie, he will try to rape one of the girls, and that's how he gets killed.
Yeah, if they keep a male, if they make it female, there's no way they can let her die.
Yeah.
Or, here's the option I want to see. I want to see them drop an all-female bunch of mamby-pamby, silver spoon in the mouth girls, all at about 15 to 16 on an island. and most of them start to starve because they can't figure out how to survive. And there's a couple who are tomboy enough to actually do it. They're the ones who actually get the food and get everything organized. And so very quickly you wind up with two cliques. Like in the movie, you got the one civilized group, and then you've got like the total psycho bitch. And the total psycho bitch realizes the one other competent one is competition and decides to try to take her out. And then the one competent girl tries to get her side organized, but they're all incompetent, so nothing happens. She runs off, figures out how to get her own boat, gets off the island all by herself. They find her like 2 weeks later, almost dead, and they bring her back and say, "Did anybody else survive?" And she looks up and goes, "No." And then we cut back to the island where they've all turned into cannibals, and they're all running around, and it's like just a goddamn horror show as they like social cliques go completely out of control. That, I think, would work, but you can't stick with the actual script as the way it is. It has to be an entirely different, it has to be motivated by something else. Instead of desire for dominance, it's got to be desire for survival.
Yeah, I can just imagine it ending up being like Mean Girls on an island.
Yeah, we've run out of food. But what about that really fat girl over there called Piggy? See, if it devolved into cannibalism, I could kind of see it working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But an interesting part was brought up. I can't remember who said it now. But you know the TV, one of these reality TV shows, not Castaway, Survivor. They actually did a Battle of the Sexes. I think it was a Dutch version.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They had two camps, male and female. As soon as the males got there, they started foraging for food, building their tents, building shelter. And the women just couldn't decide on what to do. So they ended up sunbathing and eating through the supplies. And the producers thought, this isn't going very well because the men are doing well and the women are about to starve to death because they've run out of rations. So they send 3 guys over thinking, oh, great. Just us 3 lads with all these women. Yeah, we're going to have this, we're going to enjoy this. We get over there and say, oh, where's your shelter? We didn't build one. Where's your food? We've eaten it. So what have you got? Nothing.
Oh yeah, that one ended poorly. I believe there was also one where they did a different version. It was smaller groups. It wasn't Survivor. It was something else. It was a different version from a different country. But halfway through, they said, okay, and now we're switching camps. So they moved all the men over to the women's camp and the women's all the way over to the men's camp. And they still fucked it up. They still royally fucked it up. It did no good whatsoever. Although my personal favorite one is I forget what it was. It's not Naked and Afraid, but it was like that. You ever see that? It's kind of like Naked and Afraid, but they give like 3 guys and they like out in the middle of nowhere. Well, in this case, they did 2 guys and a girl, and she was just useless and just whining and bitching and complaining. And it was like she was supposedly like this, athlete. And you're like sitting there and going, my God, this is just sad. And I hate to generalize from the specific, but if you're trying to, that's really bad optics. That's really bad optics. And from my personal experience, I want to share this. In my job, mostly it's women. Okay.
Yeah.
And I got sent off to training. And there were 3 guys. Exactly 3 guys. And they deliberately spread us up among the groups, except there was a problem, so it actually went to 2 groups because we had some people not show up. So it was me, 1 black guy, and like 7 women. And I did not want to be there. I did not give a rat's ass. I didn't care. I just sat there and I'm like, okay, whatever. What's the bare minimum I need to do? We've got to lower an egg from the ceiling on a string with some paper and what? Okay, whatever. And the problem was they kept looking at me to see what the hell what we were supposed to do. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. And the black guy wouldn't do anything either. And so the women just kind of, eventually they managed to do something, and it failed horribly. And then the leader, when we took a break, the person who was teaching the course came and yelled at me. And I'm like, why the hell are you yelling at me? I'm not in charge. But for some reason, every woman there, and they were like, I looked and said, oh, it's the white male. He's going to be in charge. And it's like, dear God, please don't be racist. Okay, I don't want, yes, I could be in charge. I could take over and I could make this work, which eventually I did because the teacher made it clear that if we didn't pull it out, we were going to fail. I'm like, all right, God damn it. I do not want to be here, but I'm going to get this done. But that's the sad part, is that there's that assumption. It's like, hey, I don't want, fine, take over. But for some reason, some people are so ingrained with saying, yeah, but let the white guy do it. It's fucked up. Anyway, any last thoughts?
No, I just can't wait for this.
Oh, it's going to be a train wreck. I will see it. Yeah. I will see it in the theater. I will. I've got some theater tickets that I got given as a gift like a year ago that I haven't used. If that gets put in the movie theater, I will go see it. Just because it is going to be the greatest train wreck ever. Oh, God. Yeah, so mark my words.
Troll 2 all over again.
Oh, yeah, Troll 2, man. It's going to be Troll level. I don't know if it'll be as bad as... I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the Ghostbusters reboot because I don't think anybody gives a rat's ass about this franchise. If you don't care about the franchise, there's not going to be anything. So they can't pull the... I'm sorry.
If it does bomb, they will blame it on sexism.
Oh, yeah, they'll totally blame it on sexism, but it's going to be next to impossible to blame it on sexism. But I am thinking at this point, and here's my theory, that about a year or two after this movie is finished, or if it ever gets finished, we will find out that those two guys were both pedophiles and trying to basically try to rape their own, actresses. So, but that's my bet. If it turns out I'm right, I will be very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we move on a bit?
Yeah.
Death toll rises to 60 in the powerful New Mexico earthquake. And to be honest, I'm not hearing a lot about this. Everything else in America has been, all the hurricanes have been basically drowning out this disaster.
Yeah. I didn't even know about this until just like minutes ago.
Yeah, I was up that night when it started. The news started to pick it up for a little bit. And then, poof, it disappeared. It just basically got mentioned. It's like, 60 people dead in Mexico, major disaster. Oh, there's a 10-foot tsunami rushing across the Pacific Basin. But it's not, Trump being sexist or evil. Christ in a crutch. I was actually having some hope that the mainstream media was finally turning things around. But no, just a little blip on the radar. Any thoughts on this?
Hey, Mad.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just saying hello to Mad in the chat.
Oh, hey, Matt. How's it going? Yeah, yesterday was kind of a bummer, and so we switched to the tonight. At any rate, apparently Mexico's pretty screwed up. Like, lost power, hospitals, all that sort of thing. I can't even find a lot of news on it, to be honest. So,
well, like you said, the idiots can't blame it on Trump, saying, "Oh, God is punishing them."
Yeah, God can't be punishing them. Maybe God is punishing them from having so many people leave their country. You have to come back, or this is God's way of driving them into America. Yeah. Oh, God. At any rate.
What's the name?
You know what's ironic, though? I did hear this. Venezuela? You know how screwed up they are? They actually managed to pull things together enough to send a boat with rescue workers to Mexico to help people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some commitment.
That is some commitment to keeping up, appearances. Holy crap. Nothing's wrong in Venezuela. I can send troops off to help other countries.
Yeah.
Holy crap. But yeah, Veracruz is basically kind of dropped off our horizon here, and as far as the media is concerned. So I just wanted to mention it. My heart goes out to them. Hope things work out for them. And it's one of those act of gods you can't do anything about.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about it?
No, just it is kind of upsetting just to know that other news companies just aren't covering it at all because of what's going on in the US at the moment, which I can understand because when people's lives are at risk here, or over there, should I say, they would cover more there, but it does drown out the need for attention for that place as well, like when it comes to charities and such.
Here's the irony. I got this news article from the UK. Wow. Your country is reporting more on this than mine. We are a sad, sad nation. Yeah. Any rate, shall we move on to Father's Day ad deemed too political for TV?
Oh, lovely.
Down in Australia, they had a Father's Day commercial that had been basically... They've had Father's Day commercials like every year for decades now, and, well, they got sued for... I'm reading this article and I don't even understand it. I really don't.
Yeah.
What? We can no longer celebrate Father's Day without being forced to look at it through the lens of same-sex marriage debate. Yes, you could. You could, but apparently that's the problem. Same-sex marriage wasn't included.
Yeah, but what's the difference? If it's a father, then,
They want to have Person Day now. They want to have Person Day. Can you imagine it celebrating Person Day?
Well, is that going to replace both Mother's Day and Father's Day?
No, it just replaces Father's Day. You still need Mother's Day, but you don't need a Father's Day. You just need a Person Day. Can you just shoot me now, please? Because after all, Mother's Day and Father's Day are by gender, when genders are completely intersexual and the same thing and interchangeable. And, why isn't there an Apache helicopter day? This whole day thing drives me nuts. Do you know that every day basically has a day now? Yeah, there was National Donut Day in America. What the hell? We don't need a holiday based around donuts.
Speak Like a Pirate Day, which is fun, but it just clutters everything else up as well.
I don't know. The fact that people are actually starting to call it out is BS, but the problem is I think that, again, Australia and Canada seem to be lagging behind America. So I think in another 5-10 years they'll catch up. But in the meantime, I think we're going to continue to see this nonsense. I don't know, but I think Australia might be slightly ahead of Canada, and I'm not sure.
For all the regressiveness, I think they are slightly ahead. Not in some ways, but definitely in others. Certain towns and cities in Australia now do not celebrate Australia Day.
Yeah, I heard that. That's insane. Your country doesn't matter. You don't have any culture. I don't know if you heard that rant. It was great. I think it might have been at Sargon of Akkad, but they had this guy arguing. He just showed up, and he's like, "You're white. You don't have a culture." I'm like, wow, you just became #1 priority propaganda piece for every alt-right out there. Holy crap.
He's this year's, "You're fucking a white male."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, God, it's sad. It's sad that anybody even thought that, There are times where I wish I was at these things just so I could explode. Oh, God. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get caught up in one of these riots. None of them come here. Sniff, sniff. Ah, well. Should we move on to an article that's a bit late, but I think we didn't get to talk about it last time?
Yeah, we can do.
Female students walk out on feminist Clementine Ford after she refuses to answer boys' questions. I love this. This is the proof that things are finally starting to turn around, where this bitch who showed up in Melbourne, Aquinas College, got walked out on by the girls who said, no, you're here to answer our questions. We paid you money to come here, and you decided I'm only going to answer questions from boys. Wow. You bitch. I hope everybody else who was going to have you come and speak cancels.
Yeah. I mean, someone like that, they just deserve everything they get if it's bad, at least. But her name is going to be mud for a while, at least. Well,
this is the end. It's starting to wind down. The moral panic's coming to an end, so these people are scraping the bottom of the barrel. Heck, I think we've gone through the bottom of the barrel, down to probably the sewer lines, and we're about, maybe a year away from hitting a gas main and creating a spark and the whole thing going up as a fireball. It's just bizarre. But they're still going to milk the money right down to the end there. But once this moral panic ends, these people are going to be anathema. They're going to be like, what was his name? The Juice, O.J. Simpson. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you do. Nobody is ever going to like you again. You are a pariah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I do think that I've not followed any of this story up recently of how she's been reacting to it, but I'm presuming that she's playing the victim now.
Oh, she called everybody a cunt. On Twitter, she exploded and just called everybody a cunt. It seems to be the popular response now to just have a complete meltdown.
Yeah.
So, I hope she fades into obscurity and we never hear her name again.
Absolutely.
Well, shall we move on to my old homeland?
Yes, please. Let's all move there.
Germany rejects Polish demand for World War II reparations. Of course they do. After Germany started getting on Poland's case for not taking in enough refugees, even though they've already taken in 1.4 million refugees, they took in 1.4 million of the wrong refugees. Sigh. Germany was threatening to send them with, costs for, hey, if you don't take these refugees and you're a member of the EU, we're going to fine you. And Poland responded with saying, hey, by the way, you never paid us back for World War II.
Yeah, which they should do.
Yeah. And, well, the thing is that when the Russians occupied Poland and half of Germany, when Poland talked to Germany and said, you know what, you guys should pay us, in 1953, 1970, and basically the Russians said, half of Germany's ours, so you can't sue them, so just let it go. Basically, that's what happened. The frickin' commies forced Poland to basically say you don't owe us. And Germany said, nope, that's good. You turned it down. We would have paid you if you hadn't done that. I mean, my God. I know it was done in jest, but wow.
It's an excellent point, though.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even if you just did a token amount, but no, it's because Germany keeps talking about all of their, problems that their race had and how they mistreat everybody. I know we have to take the word, but oh wait, actually paying money to people whose country we overran and murdered 1/3 of my family tree. Yeah, I still remember that. Yeah. The Russians got another third, by the way. So it's not like I'm only angry with the Germans here. But, you bastards. You frickin' bastards.
I'm better than you is asking what did I miss?
Just about everything. If he wants to jump on, he can. If he wants to bring up anything, we can talk about stuff.
Yeah.
You still got the
Discord. Come and join us.
Yeah, feel free to jump on. We can wrap up these last few articles and then just ramble about other bullshit.
Yeah, can do.
I mean, moving on. Apparently, Angela Merkel is being hounded by protesters, which I think is another good sign. You know, they call her a traitor to the people. Basically, in case you guys missed it, she said, we're going to reverse this whole immigration thing. And as soon as she got reelected, she said, we're going to take this whole immigration thing and put it into overdrive. She,
So she's not being protested against. Is she using any words like harassment yet?
I haven't read about that, but the fact of the matter is that...
give it time.
Yeah, I think she may have finally gotten reelected the last time. I mean, hopefully. But then again, if they institute their state of utter control, yeah, maybe she'll just declare, you know, maybe there'll just be a big, huge fire and the night of long knives. And suddenly Angela Merkel will be, you know, chancellor for life.
Would be nice. Would be nice for her to just disappear.
We could hope so. At any rate. Hey, I'm better than you is. Do you need me to send you the link again? Hold on one sec.
Okay. I will look for something to read in the meantime. Right, so I'm just going to look at this one.
There, I sent you a direct link to your account in your messages on Discord. At any rate, yeah, Merkel's getting heckled. I'm thinking that we're seeing the beginning of the end, but the problem is it's going to be at least 4 years at this point. Although I'm kind of worried about Brexit.
Yeah, that's not looking great.
What is your opinion on it? You think it's going to go, or you think they're going to find a way to F it up?
Yeah, option 2, they're going to find a way to mess it up. People aren't going to be deported, which I have no problem with people that have been working here a while, like from the EU, still staying here. I'm sure there's a way to keep them here if they're a decent member of society, etc. But I wish that they'd still at least be harsher on, you know, keeping the other migrants out. So the freedom of movement is limited from now on, which doesn't seem to be happening at all.
Hey, I'm better than you is. Welcome by.
Hello.
Your mic working? Anyway, well, you're working that out. I agree with you 100%. And I think the problem, I'm been trying to think of like a proper term for it, because every time you try to talk about like this matter, people call you alt-right or something else, or they call you a white supremacist. And it's like, no, I don't care about genetics. I don't give a crap about genetics. I care about, you know, culture. You know, I don't want to call it a genocide because it isn't. I want to call it a memicide. It's a memicide. They're trying to memicide cultures. Okay, you can't combine cultures and have a multiple culture. It doesn't happen. One culture either becomes a colony inside the other culture, or it gets absorbed and it becomes a monoculture. So this isn't multiculturalism. This is monoculturalism. You're trying to destroy and kill cultures. There's not a lot of cultures on the planet to begin with. I mean, you only got 200 countries, assuming each one's only got 10 cultures, which is probably high. You're still looking at, you know, only 2,000 cultures on the planet. But they're all equal. None are better than any others, of course. It's just madness. But, you know, The thing is, though, the problem is it's hard to chart, but if you could just figure out who has been assimilated and who hasn't, there's your criteria. If you come to the UK and you act like you belong there and you want to be like everybody else, well then, welcome. We don't care about your genetic code as long as you think like everybody else. If you think that driving into a crowd of people and blowing yourself up by going, "Allah snack bar," is a bad idea, well...
I would backtrack a little on that statement. Think like everyone else.
Oh, okay, well...
think like everyone else.
Okay, well,
You know.
okay, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Ah.
At least hold us like similar values.
At least have something in the same ballpark, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Poland has no problem taking in 1.4 million Ukrainian refugees, because they think alike. You know, they got a lot of the same background. Okay, they don't dance the polka. You know what? We can get around that. Oh, I just don't know. At any rate, the last final topic here.
Right, I just need to pop away for just a minute. Just keep speaking and I'll catch up.
Okay. Last but not least, Hurricane Irma. And it's looking bad for Florida. I actually have an uncle down there, and I see the track that it's going in. It's pretty much driving straight over his house. So, sigh. I've been to Florida. It's a nice place, but I did it on the job, so... I think the big problem you've got here is that this thing is so freaking huge. It is just gigantic and brutal, and the problem also is that for some reason people are crying out, you have to let the government help you, and then there's people who are going, you know what, maybe you need to help yourself. And the people who say that get roasted. I don't know if anybody listens to Rush Limbaugh. I try to. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I try to listen to him because I think he's a pretty good barometer. And when he said, you know what, if you can't find bottled water, everybody recycles. Everybody's probably got a bin of, you know, plastic bottles. Go get your plastic bottles, wash them out, clean them real good, and fill them up with water. Fill up your bathtub with water. Hey, you can drink out of the back of your toilet if you clean it first. I mean, it's pretty sensible advice. They actually have that in, like, the pamphlets that they hand out from, you know, the government here in the United States. However, because Rush Limbaugh said, you know what, you should fill up bottled water, everybody, like, jumped on him saying, oh, there's no real threat, and he believes that, you know, the hurricane isn't real, and he's telling people not to buy bottled water. I'm like, no. What he said real cynically was, there are people who will take advantage of this disaster to push their own political agenda. And that there are people who will try to sucker you into spending money you don't need to spend and take advantage of you. That's all he said. And he gave advice on how not to get ripped off. But that doesn't change what happened, that they all blew up at him. No, I understand he's a big target, but if you're trying to destroy Rush Limbaugh, taking his words and twisting them in a fashion that nobody can honestly even think he said, that's not going to work. You know, it's like the mainstream media is trying to destroy people, and they're not even trying to lie anymore. You know, they're not even trying to come up with something reasonable. They're just like, yeah, Trump, you know, ate a baby. I mean, that's what I'm coming to.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on all of this mess and how my whole take on the whole hurricane here isn't that it's going to be horrible. It's going to be bad. Knuckle down. Good luck to you. If you haven't gotten out, it's too late. Do your best to survive. My place is how it's being exploited. You know, the media seems hell-bent on twisting everything around. Did you see the reporter saving the person thing?
No.
Oh, this was great. This reporter goes to this car. It's in like 2 feet of water. He knocks on the door. The woman opens it up, and the guy carries this woman who's bigger than him to shore. It's the cameraman. The actual reporters on the shore using the camera and pointing and going, oh my God, look at this. He's saving that little girl. And I'm going, what little girl? That woman's bigger than me. I mean, they just overhype themselves so much. It's like, wow, people hate you so much that you're going to lie in the middle of a disaster about saving people just to try and drum up some good press. Wow, how bad is it for you?
That's the state. Yeah, that's the state of the mainstream media at the moment. They're supposed to report on the news, where now they want to be the news.
Well, they've got. I think a lot of them are trying to figure out how to pack their parachute. Anybody who was decent and knew what they were doing, they already left. They're already out. You know, they've gone off to get their own career. Like Tim Pool, like that guy's doing great.
Yeah.
Who was that guy from Fox News? I forget who he was, but he was one of their anchormen, and he basically got railroaded into getting rid of him because basically the boss hated him, and they decided to make up some BS about sexual harassment. There's no proof about any of it, whatever. But he made his own show. He made his own, podcast.
Oh, Stephen Crowder.
No, not him. He actually was working on Fox News. Old white guy. I can't remember his name now. But, he's not doing bad. I mean, he's not making the millions he made at Fox News, but he's certainly making enough money to do his own investigative reporting. So
there's also the guy from We Are Change as well. He's doing some good work as well.
Yeah, I'm getting more into getting my news from actual reporters directly now. I wish I could have work turn off the cable. I wish I could find some way to cut it entirely. We don't need it.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is, But I think I'm hoping it's switching. At any rate.
Yeah, if someone needs an unemployed person to go around the world, video just recording riots and anything, I'm available.
Oh, if we could get you enough money to do that, that'd be awesome. If you go around and get in the middle of a riot. I don't think your real estate job working in Carcosa is working too well.
No, unfortunately not. But I could dress in black, record things from inside the black bloc during a riot. I'd do that.
Yeah, I got a feeling. The problem is trying to find the riots. Like it's not. It's actually kind of turning more to hit and miss because like the black bloc is showing up to places, but nobody told the right wingers. So like they get like 14, 15 people, and you have this like 300 or 400 people running down this old man running for his life, and you're going, that is some seriously bad optics, dude. That is some seriously bad optics. Oh.
I think, speaking of stuff like that, I think that's probably kind of when I was red-pilled in the news. I was watching a thing called Russell Howard's Good News, a BBC production, no less. This is going back to 2012, 2011. And he sort of mocks the news and takes the piss. And at the time, I thought it was quite funny. And they were doing a piece on the EDL, English Defence League, which Tommy Robinson founded. I presume you know who he is, yeah?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Well, he basically saw that his town of Luton was becoming a hotbed for jihadis. And so he founded the English Defence League, and he was completely against racism. But because of how these so-called right-wing groups turn out, it did attract a lot of neo-Nazis and racists and skinheads and all that stuff. And Russell Howard was talking about this so-called protest, and they said these EDL thugs didn't have anyone to fight, so they fought amongst themselves. And at the time I thought, what a stupid bunch of racist twats. If they didn't have anyone to fight, then they just fought amongst themselves. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. They were just there to look for a fight. It turns out that that wasn't the case. Well, it had a smidgen of truth. It was because Tommy Robinson was there saying, we don't want you there, because he called out the actual Nazis. and the skinheads and the ones chanting racist chants, saying we don't want anything to do with you. And the EDL started fighting with them.
Ah, so it was actually them like saying go. They were fighting racists. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah.
And I didn't find that out until a few years later, and then I thought, wow, so yeah, the news has been lying to us all this time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it's I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything that I see in the mainstream media. And part of me is sitting there going, can't you see this? Can't you see where you're steering your ship? Have you been watching? Have you? I try to keep like abreast of all sorts of weird topics, and I don't actually own any comics, but I've been trying to follow the whole Marvel saga.
Oh yeah, I used to collect comics. I've not bought one since about 2013. But yeah,
what?
for a while I was spending a lot of money on them.
Here's my question.
See,
Okay, as you said, you spend a lot of money on it. So wouldn't you want to keep the people who are giving you money happy? It's almost as if Marvel hates its followers. It really is. Their comics are plummeting.
Yeah.
The only reason they stay alive is because Disney owns them and keeps them open.
Yeah. People in charge like Dan Slott and the other one, Brian Michael Bendis. The Milkshake Crew. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that was a train wreck.
Yeah, I really do just want to grab them by the collar and just shake them and say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
You know what's sad? I could write a better story than them. I tried to follow up on that Miss America one. America Chavez.
America Chavez.
Oh, Chavez.
Oh, I'm better than you is saying. Some reason I'm getting either one channel or the other. So he's not. Does that mean you're not hearing one of us?
Oh.
Or
yeah, I mean we can't hear him at all, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, we've not heard you at all.
Like if you've been speaking, we have not heard you. So, sorry. I wish we could help.
Yeah. Hopefully you can get it sorted and join the stream soon.
Yeah, well, glad you came by at the very least. Anyway, yeah, the American thing. I've caught the highlights, looking over Captain Cummings. I love him. The villain of the internet. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And diversity in comics. I love that guy.
Yeah.
But as I'm looking over their assessment of the whole thing, I'm sitting there and going, you know what? I could probably turn this comic around myself. If you gave me control of the comic for one issue, I bet I could make it popular. Because because this has been an excellent setup for someone to have that sudden moment realization. Like I probably set it up where like she was fighting some guy who had a swastika on, but it wasn't the swastika from like the Nazis. It wasn't on the corner. It was on his flat. So he's actually just a wizard, So he's a super wizard. But he needs that symbol to focus his power. So he's going with the Buddhist version, not the Nazi version. And she flips out and starts fighting him. And he has a choice to keep defending himself against her beating the crap out of him, or to extend his powers to save somebody who's probably got to make him black or something. So he's saving a minority. And in saving their life, he unfortunately has to lower his defenses and she kills him. So she actually kills some guy, and then she finds out, oh my God, wait a minute. The reason I killed him is because he was trying to save that black guy's life. And she has this huge, like, crisis. In a previous episode, she travels back in time. So my whole thing would be she tries to travel back in time to save him, and then she gets that big, huge, like, esoteric discussion with, like, I don't know, the Watcher shows up in something and says, no, you can't change time. And says, let me explain things to you, and then brings him back from the dead briefly from the last moment. And they get to have a conversation at the end there. And it's a conversation where he's like, no, I'm not a Nazi. This is, and just she has that sudden revelation moment where she realizes she's a piece of shit.
Yeah, that sort of thing does need to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you need that moment
Unfortunately,
to save it, but you could do it very well because they set it very up for her to have a complete, her entire world to shatter at this point. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that. Looks like they're just going to keep building on everybody saying, "Oh, look how awesome she is." Did you know she's a lesbian? Yes, I know she's a lesbian, and everybody says she's awesome. Oh, whatever. But that's all their comics. That's all of it. Like every last one. It's nuts. And then what they did to, what was it, Captain America?
Yeah, I've made him a Nazi Hydra agent.
Well, I can get behind that. You know, okay, it's a big change of pace. You got to handle it right, though. And then at the end there, he beats up the evil, the real, you know, Captain America beats up the Nazi America, whatever guy. But what does he do? He turns around and hands off the shield to someone else. It's like, you are literally telling us that white people need to hand off America to somebody else. You fucking assholes.
Yeah.
You bunch of assholes.
The whole crap behind them turning Captain America that way is because America voted for Trump. So they think, well, if that's how we're going to vote, then fuck you. We're going to turn your biggest hero into a villain. And it doesn't quite work the same way as that it does on WWE.
Oh, yeah. You can't do the heel face turn with the comic book character without sales plummeting. Although I will say this, I don't know if you, I actually made a video on it, the speech of the Red Skull. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading it and going, you know, when you're making your villain, you should not make him give a speech that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I mean, it's it's actually a pretty moving speech, and I'm going, damn, that's a really good speech. You can write. You just you if you're trying to make him a villain, you kind of failed here. You really failed. It's sad. It's really sad. By the way, I'm better. We still can't hear you if you're talking to us.
Yeah. No, we can't. In the highly unlikely chance that I somehow came across a huge fortune, I would certainly just go out and buy Marvel, and the first day on the job would be, you're all fucking fired.
Oh, yeah. I thought about that too. Marvel would be up there. Marvel would be up there to buy it and just fire. And I would walk in and say, I will burn this company to the ground without a thought. I'll just destroy it.
Well,
I don't care.
I wouldn't destroy it. I mean, I'd just fire everyone that's writing these really bad comics. The Milkshake Crew would be gone.
Oh yeah. No,
Tony Slott would be.
The whole reason for
I'd even hire Comics Diversity to say, "Fuck you."
Oh,
he's on our staff now.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
The fucking door.
That would be awesome. By the way, I would like you to speak to our HR department and just have Comics and Diversity and Captain Cummings both just walk in through the back door and they go, "Booyah! Plot twist! You're all fired. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Oh, by the way, here's your severance pay. 1 free coupon for a free milkshake. There you go. Redeemable at any, yogurt shop. Have a nice day." That would be awesome. I
enjoy your Dairy Cream.
Oh God!
Voucher.
What? This is just the most horrible of optics. I mean, what sort of mindset do you have to be in to hate people that much?
I honestly don't know. I can't get my head around it. I just really cannot understand how they go into this massive company that's worldwide known. One of the biggest movie franchises since Star Wars. And they just go in hardly knowing the characters and not giving a fuck about the fans. And then trashing the fans. I mean, it's not just one, it's not just one corner that they turned with one character where they decided to, just change a little bit of the personality or make him a bit darker or something, and some of the fans going, "No, we don't like this," and they're saying, "Screw that." It's a case of we're changing the entire brand, and If you don't like it, fuck off. And even though they're pandering to an audience that isn't even there.
Yeah, I don't get that either. Like, who? From what I heard, a lot of they count as sales any comic they ship out, and they are sending basically boxes of free comics to stores. So that's the reason why they're getting any numbers whatsoever.
Yeah.
But that said, isn't there somebody somewhere who owns stock who says, you are costing me money? Where is the greed? Okay, there needs to be some greed. There needs to be some way to reach these stockholders and say, your money is being flushed away. I think it's because the comics are almost an afterthought. It's all about the movies. It's all about the merchandise. And they think nobody watches the comics. And they're right. Nobody watches the comics. Nobody reads them. Nobody cares. So if nobody's reading them, well, then you don't have to worry about what's in them. So I suppose that solves its own problem.
Yeah, they're just getting praise from SJW crowd and all that, saying, "Oh, you're doing a wonderful job bringing diversity into comics."
Yeah,
no pun intended, but then they forget that, well, you got to write good stories to go with them, and they're just not doing that.
Yeah, they just aren't creative. I think that's the sign of a social justice warrior, is that deep down inside, I think they're totally uncreative. I have not seen very many funny...
Campbell Lowe has had a good idea. Just said, just make a Kickstarter that says, give me money and I kill Marvel. I can get behind that.
I like that.
And I'm better.
I like that.
I'm better than you is... yeah. I can get on okay and can hear you too, but it just won't let me talk.
Have you just tested real quick? At the bottom, there's a microphone, there's a headphone, and then there's a little gear. Click on the gear. There should be a thing that pops up that says voice. Try making sure that the input is set to something that you can talk into, because I know I sometimes have it set to channel 2, and sometimes I have it set to ordinary income. And that might sort it out. Other than that,
this might sound absolutely retarded, but I've made this mistake. While doing a stream with Kekistani Tranny, I couldn't hear my own voice at all. He couldn't see me. And it turns out my mic wasn't plugged in.
Yeah, make sure the mic's plugged in, of course.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is you can go to your own computer preferences, look up sound, and see if it's registered. That's the other thing to do. Because I did that myself. I had the sound off, and I was talking. Yeah. You guys were like all sitting there. I'm like, why don't you hear me? Oh wait, I'm talking to. I have it routed into channel 2. It's like, oh, that's not gonna work. Well. I guess the only other thing left to talk about at this point would be, unless there's some request from the audience, the whole infighting thing among the skeptic community. Do you want to even touch that, or just, I don't know?
Yeah, I'm willing to hear your take on it and see if I've got anything
there was one
insightful or interesting to add. There
was this one noob who, I keep track of all the noobs, and she's like got a couple hundred, and she did this 9-minute rambling. I don't want to call her out for it because it was pretty bad, but so I'm not trying to make fun of her. That's why I'm not mentioning the specific person, but she basically was going, oh, we're all at each other's throats, and we need to be a community and all come together and like stop attacking each other as much. And I wanted to address that briefly. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Oh yeah, no echo chambers here. We are so vicious. It reminds me when I was a bill collector. I love this. We were so at each other's throats when I was a bill collector. And that's how we made money. We made money because we were vicious. And you will make good content if you are vicious. You have to. I mean, yes, you don't want to tick off your audience. But if somebody screws up, you call them out for screwing up. You do, and that's how you get ahead, because you go, hey, look, this person's an idiot. I mean, I want to go case in point. We got Crown T. I do not understand what his hang-up was over RK selection.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, I can understand the theory, the RK theory and the differences. But when he took it literally, that it seemed to make it sound like the alt-right think black people lay eggs, or something like that. And I thought, well, that's a really bad straw man. But even though everything in the video that seemed sound, he did get some good professional advice from two scientists, but one of them was, well, my hang-up was how fucking condescending Crown T sounded on it. Like, oh, I know this stuff, and you should all too, and you're stupid for not. But he had to talk to two biologists or something in the first place to know about it all.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a joke. I thought he was trolling, you know, because it was like his hang-ups is, if you believe in this, then you believe that, you know, yeah, as you said, black people lay eggs. It's like, one, yeah, I for those people who don't know, RK selection theory was based on animals, which is there are some animals that devote a lot of time and energy to raising one animal as a child, like elephants and humans. And then there's others like, you know, ants, and, you know, pick a bug and they lay 1,000 eggs and they don't care about their young because only a couple need to live. Well, some people started applying it to human beings. Now, here's the problem with Crown T's position on it is when you apply it as a theory, it's on a spectrum. I hate to use the word, but you know, you're more R or more K relative to another species. So it is possible for some humans to be more R than K. Okay, it's not much of a difference, but it's there. And the reason why I bring it up is because
it's not a literal thing.
Yeah, it's not a literal thing here, but it is actual behaviors. The reason why I bring it up is because I've used it here at work. I mean, there are some clients here who are really, you know, they just don't seem to care about their kids. And it isn't just black people. I would say it's actually more white people than black people in this case, at least in this area. So I don't think there's a racial component to it. There's just an intelligence component to it. There's some stupid people out there who go and do, you know, they screw everything that moves. And then when they get kicked,
because there's a state, there's a, you know, the welfare state to look after their kids.
Yeah, that's it.
Yourself.
So they're depending. They've decided that the state will provide a minimum level of sustenance, and I'm just going to stay there. I'm not going to put forth any effort. And I see these people waste away. They get incredibly fat. So if you're thinking that they're starving to death, that ain't happening. And they just kind of give up. And I kind of...
It's not because they're eating more, it's because they're eating too much of the cheap, terrible food.
Oh, yeah, they eat the cheap, terrible food. And the first thing that if I was in charge of America would be to stop subsidizing corn and to get rid of, you know, illegal immigrants working those cornfields so that corn actually went up to its actual price. You know that we artificially subsidize corn here, which turns into corn syrup, which is all the sugar that we eat. And then we tax the sugar. And how about we skip the tax on the sugar and we skip the artificially inflating of the corn and just let it go to market forces? Okay, but I digress. My point of the whole matter is as far as the theory goes, it's pretty predictive of behavior. And that's my thing about any theory. If the theory is useful, it's useful. I don't think that there's any racial bias to it at all. I think this whole genetic part of it is nonsense. But as far as behaviors go, as an individual, and I've been able to explain to certain people using the whole RK selection theory that, you know what, you've decided that you're not going to care about anything. You're not caring about your kids. You're not caring about your life. You're not trying to create a stable family. You're just living off the government because it's free money. You know, your kids are going to suffer for this. Do you care about them at all? And I've actually gotten through to at least 2 people using that. But as a theory, it works. It gets results. I don't care about, laying eggs or crap like that. I care about, can I use it day to day? Like, I don't know, red coach pill. You saw the video. What's his theory? All women are dogs. Well, you want to know something? That same theory, I can apply the way he described his theory to men too. I can apply it to children. I can apply it to old people. I can apply it to everybody. And if your theory is so broad that it applies to everybody, it's not a useful theory. It's not predictive at all. I can't use it to get results. You need a theory. It has to have projections. If you don't have any projection, it's like, I don't know if you do any study into quantum mechanics. They have this great theory. It's called M-brain theory. It explains everything. There's 12 dimensions in the universe. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's elegant. And there's no way to test it because it's too broad. There's no way to test the theory because the theory is right no matter what equation you put in. And that's the problem with it. It's a beautiful theory, but it literally covers infinity. And, well, I'm sorry, but that's not practical. It doesn't give you anything. If it can't predict anything, it's useless.
And Red Coach's story about befriending the dog is
God.
insane.
Oh, yeah, God, I'm just sitting there.
The dog that he was scared of, that kept barking at him.
Then nobody in the neighborhood called the dog collector.
Yeah, no one at all. And it must have been going on for a while. And then he walked up to the dog and said, "Stop barking." And then that dog decides, "You're my new owner now. I'm going to look after your property."
Yeah, it was crazy. You know what? At first, I thought there was. I was going to call him out. I was going to call him out on it. And then I said, "Oh wait, he's got a dog and a picture behind him." So I expanded it up as much as possible. It's not a dog. He's got a picture of a goat on his window. And I seriously want to know, why the hell is there a picture of a goat? And it's been there through multiple videos. It isn't like it's just he put it up there that time. He's got this picture of a goat, and I don't understand it. It's very confusing. And the guy,
maybe that is his dog, and he just doesn't know what a dog
is.
No.
I walked up to it and yelled at, dude, I gotta tell you this, man. That's not a dog. It's a goat. You're shouting at a goat, and it's not guarding your front yard. It's eating your azaleas. Have you noticed how your bushes have kind of disappeared? That's because the goat's eating them. Yeah. You're not listening to me at all, are you? Damn it.
You've got a really well kept lawn. How do you keep it so low? Oh, my dog does it.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, I don't want to give him too much publicity, to be honest. Sorry about that. Just need to fix something. But his whole theory, if you actually follow it through, is pretty crazy. And the part that threw me is, okay, he's just all right. He's just trolling. And then out of the blue, he goes, and now you don't hit women. I'm like, whoa, that turned dark quickly. Why are you assuming that, if you know that your crazy theory where you call all women dogs might result in people following your theory beating women, if you can see that, maybe your theory...
He must have a really low opinion of his subscribers.
Or
which I'm one of.
I mean, my God. It was... And the way he kept bobbing his head, I'm like, oh, I understand you're trying to... it's a body language thing, but it's so forced. And he keeps looking off to the left. I'm like, oh, my God, why are you bullshitting us like that? And most people don't realize that there's... People, for some reason, when they're lying... have this tendency to look off to the left. Not everybody.
Yeah, because the left side of the brain is the creative side.
Yeah, that's the side.
Rather, the right side is more for memories.
And if you ever encounter anybody talking with their eyes blinking very slowly, they're probably lying to your face because they don't want to make eye contact, and blinking slower reduces eye contact and reduces stress, and it was like
I have to admit that it is different for some people as well.
well, yeah, no, I mean it's not for everybody, but
it's like the hard stare from Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, and he says it unblinking with his face straight to the camera.
oh, some people are really good at lying. Some people are really good at actors. I love the part with Bill Clinton where he goes, you have to, I didn't lie, define the word is. It's like, holy crap. Do we need to define is for you? You don't understand what is means? Oh, man. But see, he was a beautiful liar. He was a beautiful liar. He knew how to control his body language. This is so over exaggerated. For somebody who actually deals with body language, because my clients don't speak. Some of my clients have no communication skills whatsoever. When you're talking to somebody in eye blinks and tongue thrusts, you get really good at picking up the slightest movement. And that guy, just watching his video, is like, you just draw your fingernails across a chalkboard for me, please. Oh, it'd be easier to deal with. But I'm part of me is wondering what his point was. I don't know about you, but
that women are controllable if you pretend if you.
Everybody is.
If you're confident.
Everybody is. But the reason why I'm bringing him up is he's part of the people who are dogpiling on Crown T. See, if Crown T, I'm actually worried about. Because his video was really... I mean, that's the only thing I can say. Just you know, that old RNC picture with the dog with its ear up going, huh? That's what I'm thinking. I was like, what? But the reaction to him was equally bizarre. Like, you could just call him out. Like, the only person I think who like called him out right was V. But everybody on the right, when they called him out, were like calling him out in like really wacky shit.
Or just insults.
Well, I mean, kraut and, as I call him, sauerkraut and tea. And, no, wait, I'm sorry. As I call him...
No, I never thought of that too.
Sauerkraut and pea. It's like, really? Really? Is this... Am I in, like, elementary school gymnasium on a rain day and everybody's packed in too close and now we're doing insults? Or you call somebody P. Oh, God. I mean, I don't... Like, when the video where he responded to Kraut, he was like, I did not expect to have to make this video again. I thought I had so thoroughly crushed you last time that you would never dare to make another video. But now you're talking again, Mr. Crafton T. So, yes, once again, I will have to... No, you're a friggin' idiot, man. I'm sorry. But... Couch Red Pill, there's nothing new about him.
Yeah, there was someone else that made a video. I can't remember who it was, but he even offered to look over his video before he released it to let him know if it was sound. And Kraut apparently refused.
Yeah, you know what? That brings us up to a good point, probably a good place to wrap up this because I realize we're going pretty long here. But as a final note, as the final thought, if you get into content creation, and that's what this channel is all about, it's about content creation. If you're a content creator in any way, shape, or form, or just interested in it, please subscribe. But if you're not, and you're just here to check out the freak show, don't subscribe. I need to keep my sub count down so that I fly under the radar. But that said, share your scripts. Share your video. If you, just find someone, a 5-year-old child, and say, excuse me, is this insane? Because if a 5-year-old child looks at you and goes, I don't think it's such a good idea to rant about this, then you...
Yeah, I don't think the alt-right believe that people lay eggs.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever been a claim.
Yeah. Even though Stefan Molyneux did a video on the RK selection theory as well, and he pushed him in with the alt-righters as well. Just thought, really? clutching at straws a bit there, aren't you?
Well, you know,
And
I will say this about Molyneux. He is a bit extreme, but he has logical defenses, you know.
and he's definitely not alt-right, I wouldn't say.
No, he's not alt-right. He's not. He's a libertarian. He is diehard libertarian. But he's a big bit facts man. He'd be like, he does believe in IQ. I don't, but he does believe that racial IQs are different. I think that you could simply explain it away by the Pareto effect and how we've been destroying countries through our immigration policy. But that said, his policy is like, you know what? But the fact of the matter is we don't know. Shouldn't we find out? If everybody is racially equally, shouldn't we prove it definitively? And you know what? I can't argue with that. Because if it's something, as someone pointed out to me, and I like the theory more and more, you need vitamin D to get calcium, and if you don't have calcium, your neurons don't work as well. So if you've got dark skin and you move north where you don't get any sun and you don't take any vitamins, yeah, it may affect your cognitive development. Might only be 5 or 10 IQ points, but that's significant. You know, if as a child, you know, make sure your kids get a lot of vitamin D. That's it. And like, if that's all you needed to do to reverse any sort of IQ damage, wouldn't you want to know? Like, if you're just saying, you know, give them a Flintstone vitamin, for frickin' sake. But that's it. You know, it's something don't we want to know, or disprove it so that we don't have people running around spreading rumors. That said, that's what we run into here. I mean, it's just everything is so screwed up that we can't sit down and let the scientists work. And I don't know if Kraut was letting the scientists work with his rant. I think he should have gone to those scientists and had one of them read his script before he did it. That said, everybody who's responded to him, with the exception of V, I think you guys needed to have somebody read your scripts too. So, if you're making content, have someone who isn't worked up as you, just glance over it. Just because I do that all the time. At any rate, and
in the delivery of your videos, at least try and be a little bit humble. You know, a little. You know, be more like V.
Oh yeah, humility. Humility is great. Humility works wonders.
Because when you sound really condescending, then people aren't going to want to listen to you as much, even if your science is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I mean, nothing said. There's nothing wrong with a good rant. I mean, rants are popular. Flipping out is popular. You know, I mean, it gets the numbers. The thing is, though, if all you're going to do is be following the trends, if you're going to be just imitating everybody else around you, which is basically all that Red Coach Pill does, you could pick up any other MGTOW or pick up artist channel and you'd hear everything that he says. He brings nothing new, and he doesn't explain anything. That's my whole problem with this video on women or dogs. Why?
I even watched a few PUA videos about 4 or 5 years ago, and none of them said anything like women are like dogs.
Well, I mean, I understand what his point is, you know, a confidence thing, but that applies to every human being.
Yeah, he needs a better...
As I said earlier, remember when I was talking about where everybody was looking to me to lead the group? I think it was because I didn't give a crap. Everybody else was worried and worked up, and I'm sitting there like, I don't care. Like, when you don't care, it comes across as confidence. If people aren't thinking right and realize that you just don't give a shit. And so everybody's like, okay, well, you're obviously the most competent one here. No, I'm not. I got no idea how to do this, and I don't care. But because I was calm, because I acted like, you know, whatever, this is no big deal. People are like, okay, well, I think it's a big deal. Let's turn to the guy who thinks it's no big deal. That's human nature. You go to the guy who looks like he knows what he's doing, and you pretend to be like him because that's how you live. You don't pretend to be the guy who died. You pretend to be the guy who survived. That's human nature.
Yeah.
So, sorry to rant there for a bit. Anyway, I think we covered just about everything under the sun. Anything else on your mind?
That's all from me.
Yeah. You know what? I actually am liking the smaller groups sometimes. Like, I know everybody's busy, and I liked it when we had everybody here. But when it's like 2 or 3 people, you can stick to the topic and move through and get to the meat of things a lot faster.
Yeah.
At any rate, I think we've actually exhausted every possible topic.
Oh, Campbell's asking about Pepe the Frog and his death.
Wasn't that like a couple of months ago? I don't know if you know this, but the guy who actually created Pepe the Frog was part of, I think it was a webcomic.
Oh, yeah, had a funeral.
And he got...
Campbell, do you want to elaborate a little?
Yeah, because, I mean, the story is that he got so ticked off of the alt-right using Pepe that he killed off Pepe. But nobody cared. Nobody cared at all. But people...
He's unkillable.
Yeah.
He's unkillable.
Yeah, people don't understand what Pepe is because when the whole Kekistan thing came along, which is just, in my opinion, another version of the whole discipline discordia thing. I should do a video about that sometime, but Pepe and Kekistan and all that stuff isn't, you know, a alt-right symbol. It's mocking the alt-right. And it's mocking the alt-left. It's mocking everybody. It's a joke. It is a big joke. It's parody, and the goal is to make fun of everybody by being so stupid you're annoying. And the alt-right hates Kekistan.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. They hate them. They hate them. Because the Kek people show up and they start, you know, spouting about, oh, yeah, we need to Kekistani people. We need to say, we're just humble meme farmers. And they go, no, we're serious. We're serious about this. Oh, yeah, we're serious too. And they go, just stop being so freaking annoying. And they go, oh, wait, they're really annoyed. Do it more. Do it more. But,
yeah, Campbell says, well, I think you all got angry because of the relation to Donald Trump, Hitler, and stuff. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Because there was Pepe means for absolutely everything, including Hitler and, of course, Donald Trump.
But that's the thing. When something becomes so broad, so wide that it covers everything, any theory that you come about it is useless. Like trying to pin it on the alt-right or on racism is worthless because, yeah, for every person who's using Pepe in a racist way, there's somebody who's using it and worshiping him like he's a god. And then somebody else who there was this one crazy video where they took like Donald Trump and Pepe and they were flying around in some Japanese hentai video and riding a dinosaur. It was like just trippy as hell. And you're like going, how is this racist? How is this alt-right? How is this anything other than just madness? But that's what Pepe's about. He's about madness. He's about chaos, destroying things, you know. If you got into the whole Discordia thing, just to flash back a little bit, they basically, Eris was the goddess of chaos and creation. But they predicted that there would come a time where the Church of Eris would fall to the forces of the Grey Faces. And that you would have the age of bureaucracy, which I think we've had. We've had the age of bureaucracy, but now we are in the age of aftermath, which is the age after bureaucracy, where everything completely falls apart. And that is the age of Kek. We are in the age of Kek.
Yeah, Generation Z is going to take care of that. It's going to be chaos, but it's going to be fun chaos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love Generation Z. Millennials, but Generation Z, yeah, they're going to be the most conservative one ever because it's the same thing that happened after, what was it, the Great Depression. Everybody was really conservative after that. You know why? Because if you starve, you get really paranoid about wasting your money. I lived in the back of my car for a week. Trust me, I started valuing money a lot more. That's what happens. You know, and we are starving Generation Z, and they are going to grow up and go, you know what? Your whole my kid going off and getting a gender studies degree? No, just no. Ah, well.
I think that should be time to wrap it up.
Yeah, it sounds like a good wrap up. I think we had a good one. Talk to you next week. At any rate, to the audience, it's been real and it's been fun. I hope it was real fun. I think it was for me. And I hope all of you out there have a pleasant day. Thanks you for your time, and catch you later on the flip side.
Right. See you later.